I've left, I'll call it a trail of success because a lot of the people that have worked for me in the past have gone on to do great things on their own, right? They've gone on to either start their own businesses or they've gone to work for other companies or they've been able to get jobs with skills that they learned while working with us.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of 1% Better. Today we have on an extremely special guest, Rashad Lambert. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Appreciate that. I don't know, you made me a little nervous there. I'm like, oh wait, somebody behind me? Is there somebody?
You're like, who's he talking about right
Yeah.
now?
Okay. All right.
Rashad, for the folks that don't know who you are, I know they're going to get to know you very well in this podcast, but give them a brief background about yourself and what you're all about.
Sure. I'm Rashad Lambert, West Philadelphia native, 20 plus year marketing veteran, former senior vice president of Forbes, founder of Forbes the Culture, founder of Black Excellence Society, Culture Makers Inc., Sporty Marketing Group, uh, Cerebellum H2O, um, co-owner of Nice Things Beverages, Nice Things Tequila Transfusion. I'll stop. This could. I could totally ruin the intro by just rattling off all kinds of stuff. But I guess it depends on when you met me, what you know me from. So one of those things may resonate with somebody, and if not, then I'm sure they'll learn about me.
That's amazing. And I know we'll get into a lot of it. And before, I want to go back to the early days with West Philly. You said often that found yourself in wrong places despite never doing anything illegal. It was just kind of specific moments or things that would happen. Was there any actual specific moments or a person that made you look around and think like, I'm meant to do something more than this? And when you reflect back now, how did those moments light a fire for everything that you've been building today and built in the past?
It's really funny that you asked me that because my answer is was really funny. It was probably everybody around me,
Mm.
honestly. Like everybody around me saw something in me, even when I didn't see it in myself. And I mean, now things are a little bit different, in the city, but even around that time, any place in West Philly at any given time could become the wrong place to be at any
Mm.
time, right? You could go in, oh, excuse me, you could go into your regular corner store on a normal day, and then the next day it could be the wrong place at the wrong time, and it could be your last time going in that store, right? So I always was, a community centered, community oriented person. Most of my childhood friends are still my best friends. The ones that are still here are my best friends. A lot of my friends that I have are either from my neighborhood or from like similar areas because that's that like commonality. That's that thing that kind of draws our through line. And a lot of my friends, besides those guys, like some of the ones that we call them old heads or like
Mm.
OGs, people that were older than us who had different experiences or had the similar experiences that we were having at that time, but they had them first, right? So they would try to guide us and say, "You don't need to be here," and they may not necessarily give us the details of what's going on, but they may say, "Hey, tomorrow don't be in this place," or "Don't go to that basketball court later on," or "Don't just." And you knew, like it wasn't you. You didn't question it. You may question something that one of your parents said before you question that, because
Yeah.
because that could be, it could. It could be a life or death scenario, right? So I would say that a lot of those lessons, uh, I think all of them. Again, I know that's not, not the sexy answer, but I think all of those lessons kind of shaped who I am today. There were some specific individuals that who kept me out of harm's way on a consistent basis, even if it put them in harm's way. But
Mm.
they always said, "This is not for you. This is not where you need to be. This is not your thing. Like you need to be here, or you should be doing this, or you're supposed to
Right.
be focused on that, or like school, or go work." I had my first business. I had it when I was like 10 years old. And at the time that, my friends were still, running around playing games and everything. And then some of the older guys were like, "Man, you got to go to work tomorrow." Like, go,
Mm.
because they knew, even they knew, or you got to go to church tomorrow. Or didn't your mom say you need to be like, it's a completely different time now. If I was to try to scold somebody else's child today, they might call like, social services to somebody on me because that community focus is gone. Like
Yeah.
it's not as it was before. Everybody is focused on this what I call reckless individualism, right?
Mm.
Everybody is solely concerned with themselves and the way that their actions only affect them.
Mm.
If my actions affect somebody else in a negative way, my gift and a curse is I have this thing called a conscience,
Mm.
right? Some people don't have it. I never knew that when I was growing up. I didn't realize that some people don't have that voice that tells them this is
Yeah.
wrong. You shouldn't do this. This could hurt somebody. This could harm somebody, or this could be to your detriment. Like they don't have that voice. They just go. And if you tell them afterwards, they go, "Oh, well, why didn't you warn me?" It's like, well, something up here should have warned you, but like everybody
Right.
doesn't have that. So, I was fortunate enough to have those people around me that reinforced that voice in my head that would kind of guide me along the way from the things that were good, the things that were not so good, the things that may be to my benefit. Um, I getting into I guess the entrepreneurial spirit at such a young age came from me seeing it around me. Now,
Mm.
every entrepreneur that I was around wasn't the most positive person, but I saw what they were doing and I saw the alternative because I know a bunch of people who also spent most of their life in corporate America and I
Yeah.
could compare the difference. And I've spent time in court, like I've done both, right? So I've seen how it can go in one direction and I've seen how it can go in like another direction. And again, that through line again, I see where the rubber meets the road. It's like, okay, you can do this and you can do this. You can find a way to take those lessons that you learned that you didn't have to experience and apply them to your own life. Uh,
Mm.
and I guess, live a more successful and longer, lasting life than, some of those people did. So
There's so many points to unpack there that I really really like, and one is the community. I think community is so underrated, especially in today's day and age where you think you're connected with people, but you're not as much
yeah,
because of everybody's online. Oh, I can see what
absolutely.
this person's up to. I can see where they're traveling to, what the
And they think
highlights are.
that is a connection, right?
Yeah.
People
But
there's people who I don't know who come up to me and ask me what this is a side point, but
mm,
one of the reasons I have two children, and one of the reasons why I stopped long time ago, stopped posting my children online is because somebody came up to me, was a stranger, and mentioned something about something that I had posted, and they asked me like, "Oh, how's such and such doing?" And they were talking about my kid. And
mm.
again, it was completely harmless, but that was
It
frightening
just
to me.
shows you it could be a good or a
Yeah,
bad that's
yeah,
viewing it.
and
Yeah.
and and there's also still people now, fast forward, that was, I don't know, 15 years ago, but, like, fast forward, there's people now that still feel like there's more of a connection between us than there actually is, so
Mm.
they'll say things to you online, or when they see you in person, they'll say things to you that they feel they're comfortable with. And that's
Sure.
where you have to kind of balance that like in-person community versus virtual community
Mm.
because in some instances again it may not be malicious, but it intent is all about like perception, right? So
Mm.
if your intention is positive but my perception is negative, then that means to me is negative, right
Yeah.
like regardless of what your intention was. So sometimes again, not to go, but we're going back to your point that 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 like community piece is so important, and so many people lack it in person
Mm.
that they cling to anything that feels like or seems like it, and that happens to be online. There's a lot of good examples of it, but I guess they're, good and bad is all perception. Like, um, one of my cousins started this nonprofit about gaming and how to mentor young people through gaming, right? By
Mm.
because that's where they find community. But then there's others who go
Yeah.
online and they just curse each other out, and they cursing out kids in other countries, and it's all kind of stuff that is like, that's
Yeah.
not, is that a community? Maybe, but it's not in the most positive way.
Right.
What I am used to, or what, I grew up
Even
on.
myself growing
Yeah,
up, like you said, like
yeah,
having an old head give
yeah,
you guidance and
yeah,
shaping your future by saying,
absolutely,
"Hey, stay out of this place, do this. Hey, you got a job tomorrow." And it's
absolutely.
really cool how you mention that, because it's like you had you're obviously in your youth, but you had this old soul to think of. What's that?
I said, well, thank you.
Yeah. So you have this old soul too that allows you to think, I could be creative, I could create my own things, but then you almost have this quote unquote board
Yeah,
that is the old souls that are guiding
yeah,
you to say, hey, this is your focus right now. And that's where I think the separation comes between an online or virtual community versus an in-person one.
yeah,
As much as technology is continuing to advance and giving us this opportunity right now for us to talk online in
yeah,
completely two different spots,
yeah,
that human interaction and being with somebody in person is hard to replicate.
yeah,
As quickly as technology advances, human evolution doesn't do the same.
yeah.
So I think there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, and we saw that during COVID, right? We
Yeah.
see, we call them, or I think of the teachers call them the COVID students or COVID babies or
Mm,
something.
yeah.
Not the ones who were born during it, but there is a very stark difference in like cognitive function and understanding for students that were educated in their formative years during 2020, 2021, and 2022
Mm,
when they were out of school and transitioning back into school versus those who either finished school prior to or who were able to finish school like afterwards or go through this form or go through those formative years like in person is a drastic difference. And the key to any community, and this is I'll say I apply this to Forbes the Culture and BES and any other community that I'm a part of, whether it's like artist fan bases for like clients or trying to join it, like whatever the case may be, right?
mm,
The I think the key difference is that communities have to be diverse and
mm,
diverse in age more than anything else.
yeah.
A community of your peers is only going to give you a certain type of perspective, right? You're going to be stuck in a certain uh level of, I guess, experience, a certain level of guidance, a certain level of education when you're in, when they were in that classroom on Zoom, there was a bunch of people their age,
Mm,
and then there was the teacher, right? And
right.
who's able to be able to handle that type of thing without actual supervision, because parents were at work on Zoom on their own computers, so it's
Mm,
like even if you were home, you're still not being watched over. I feel like in a lot of those like gaming communities, a lot of some of these other ones, when you don't have a diversity in age, then you have like the blind leading the blind, right? So you have a
yeah.
bunch of younger people trying to guide other younger people, and there's not enough wisdom there. You
Mm,
always have to have a space for people to bring in that wisdom to help. They say each one teach one, or we say lift as we climb, right?
mm,
So as if we're all going up the ladder at the same time, if I get stuck, there's nobody to help me.
right.
Nobody's above me, right? So that's again just metaphors upon metaphors. But the long and short of it is, when you have diverse perspectives in communities, a lot of times age wise, that really helps
Mm,
to shape, I guess, those different like narratives and different it helps young people to absorb these different perspectives, and it builds stronger communities, more
Totally.
long lasting communities, and more like effective communities. I remember at one point people wanted to, some of the like executives wanted us uh, to, I guess I would say, condense Forbes the Culture into like strictly 18 to 25. I'm like, no, no, that's not, that's like, we don't want to do that because what do, I mean, again, I'm saying this now as an older person, but what do 18-year-olds and 25-year-olds know? They don't really know anything. So,
I didn't even feel like a real
yeah,
person until I was 27, 28.
that's what I'm saying. Neither did I. Like, I couldn't even rent a car till I was 25. Like, it's like things that you don't, that you, when you're, I have a 16-year-old now, and she thinks she knows everything, right? So, like, this is, but it's not their fault. It's the
It's the
youth
only experience they
youth,
have.
youth is wasted on the young, right? So
Mm.
they yeah, it's like you said it perfect. It's the only experience they have. So until someone with more experience and with a different perspective, joins their community or their brain trust, that you put it, or their board, right?
Mm.
Until they get that, then all they have is what is their own faculties, and that is not always the most effective way to grow. To grow and learn, you got to be open.
Yeah, I really do appreciate how you took the approach of different demographics, age brackets to build the community stronger. And I want to fast forward from your time and what your youth in West Philly, but also rewind to 2017 for
Okay.
the Forbes Under 30 Summit
Okay.
that you threw. Because what is so wild about this is 300 plus people showing up
Yeah.
that you thought was just going to be a small meetup. Anytime someone has those expectations where it's like, oh, this is going to be a small meetup, and then you have an absolute banger of
Yeah.
expectations and how many people come out. I want you to take us back to that, because what did it feel like in that room? The amount of energy, that many people being there, and how does an experience like that reshape your understanding of leadership for one, and just the power of showing up, even when it's unpolished and uncertain? Because I think so many people have paralysis by analysis, and that it needs to be perfect in order for me to do it. What did you take away from all that? Hey everyone, quick break before we get back to the episode. I'm hosting a free masterclass on September 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for the 1% Better community. It's all about building momentum, avoiding burnout, and sustaining high performance without sacrificing your personal life. I'll walk you through the exact systems that I've refined over the past few years, and you're going to leave with strategies you can start using right away. It's completely free, but spots are limited. So save your spot now at onebetter.com/masterclass. That's onebetter.com/masterclass. And let's get back to our episode now.
Well, if I'm being honest, I didn't even think we were going to get 25 people, right? I didn't think that, I didn't think that that there was enough time to generate the type of interest in the purpose of the gathering.
Mm,
Sometimes it's, they say, purpose over, perfection, right? Sometimes you can have like, have perfection anxiety where if it's not going to be perfect, I'm not going to do it.
right.
Or just like you said, paralysis, a perfection of paralysis. Like, I want to
Mm,
do nothing because it won't be perfect.
yeah.
And the way it started is really interesting, where there was a single complaint that led to sort of like some groundswell. And I'm generally not the type of person to, I don't know, really like beg or go complain. I just try to find a solution. So my
Mm,
solution was, instead of going to turn this into a pile on, right? Let's just go discuss this amongst ourselves, which doesn't often happen. Now worse than then. It's kind of crazy that 2017 was so long ago, right? We're almost coming up on our 10 year
we got Thanos snapped,
anniversary. Yeah,
where
yes.
so many years has disappeared. Yeah.
Um, that we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary in 2027. And we're coming up on our 8-year anniversary this year. And it's just interesting that um, how drastically different things are, but still very, very similar.
Mm,
Um, we when I organized that meetup, it was to avoid this becoming some type of public viral moment, right?
mm,
And miss the mark and miss the opportunity to really create something bigger.
mm,
I wasn't trying to be, a shield for a corporation. I was trying to be a catalyst for my own community, right?
mm.
And how can we utilize this moment to create something long lasting and really hold ourselves accountable. The the main thing was that a lot of the people that I saw complaining, I know they weren't going to do anything. And some
Yeah,
of those people didn't even show up. And if they may have, they may be watching this. If they were there, I missed them, right? Because it got kind of chaotic. But I organized that meetup, and those 25 people that got invited, they felt so strongly about the cause that they began to spread it and share it. And I just wasn't monitoring the group chat. So it
yeah.
kept growing and growing and growing. When I look back, I saw people get added all of these phone numbers that I didn't know, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. But throughout that day, this started, I'm gonna say maybe 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. This dinner was at 7, 8 o'clock at night. By if we got there at 7, by 7:30 there was already 25 people there.
Mm,
So then that's what I started to notice. Like, okay, maybe I may have bitten off more than I can chew. And then there was 30 people, and there was 50 people, and then at the first 100 people, the restaurant started to panic
yeah.
because they didn't have enough staff. This was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was either Monday or Tuesday. Either way, it was an off night for a restaurant in Boston. I don't know, no disrespect to Boston, but I mean,
Yeah.
you see,
Uh, yeah.
you see what
Well,
it
I
is.
turn my camera. We know
Yeah,
we bleed green around here.
really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, for it was an off night for a restaurant. They had what they call them skeleton staff.
Mm,
There's like just enough to be open, right? You don't really need because they weren't expecting anything. They were on the phone calling people, begging them to come to work. Like, hey, we'll give you like overtime. Just come. We need you to come in.
yeah.
And as it kept growing, the energy was just so positive. That's really the only word that I could think of. It just was so everybody know there was some people who probably came to see what was going on because word really traveled and spread. I'm from Philly and I was in Boston. Some of the people that got invited came from Philly. Um, I mean that were in Boston and come from Philly. So word got back to Philly, word got back to New York. There were people who weren't even at the conference in
Unbelievable.
Boston who came up just for this meetup.
Yeah.
Now, given context, my background is in like party promotions, event promotions back in like the early 2000s. So I don't know if people thought I was throwing a party or what. Like I still don't have clarity on what made them get up and say, I'm going to Boston to whatever this is without really knowing what it was. We started off with like intros, names, where are you from? What do you do? My goal with that smaller group was to create an agenda so that we could people always talk about having a seat at the table, right?
Mm,
So I wanted to create our own table, have us pull up our own seats, and then take those seats and go back to our respective tables. So our different communities and our jobs and different places, and take this information or these things that we had decided on to really affect change in our own communities to help increase diversity within the lending space and funding and like opportunity
mm,
create more like opportunity for black and brown professionals in spaces
mm,
where we were often overlooked. And that was my goal was, hey, who are you? Where do you work? What do you do? Where do you go to school? Whatever the case may be, what are you going to do when you leave here? This
mm.
is not a complaint session. This is not anybody that knows me. Don't call me complaining. I will hang up.
Right.
Like I don't.
If you don't have a solution,
Yeah, I don't,
don't
and not,
bother.
and I even if you're coming for a solution, that's fine. But don't call me with a long list of complaints because
Sure.
I'm not receptive to that. I'm
Yeah.
more receptive to, hey, here's what here's what the issue is. Here's what I thought of so far, but let me run this by you. So that was the goal of that event, as it grew, it was this person at this end of the table now is in the same industry as this person at this end of the table. And now they're switching seats because they want to talk. Now,
Wow.
these two people see an opportunity for something that they're doing. Oh, we have a grant that we could fund your nonprofit. Now they're switching seats, and everybody it becomes musical chairs, right? Everybody's moving around, and as the room becomes full, there's no seats left. So
Yeah.
now there's like sections. There's like everybody in tech has gathered in this section. Everybody in education is gathered in this section. Everybody in marketing is here. Everybody in like entertainment is here. Everybody, and it's crazy. I didn't notice this at first. So I looked at the pictures. I started to look at, oh,
How it
this they were
shifted.
standing here because they all do the same thing. They were
Mm.
standing here because they all do the same thing. Um, a good friend of mine who later became a part of the organization and became one of the leads for LA. He, he's like a big tour manager, all this stuff. He decides I'm buying shots for everybody here. Everybody in here gets a shot. This is a celebration. I want to celebrate. Give me tequila for everybody. And they started passing out shots. And now, that starts to get people more loose. And now they want to talk even more. And now they're more comfortable. Because I can understand how
Sure.
that could be a sort of unnerving type of situation to go into a room full of strangers, especially when you think there's going to be 25 people there and you show up and there's 200 plus. And now you're adding to the numbers. And there's so much going on. There's music playing. There's so many different things that are going on that now it's kind of like, okay, how do I fit in? Where do I fit in? What's my space?
Mm.
Um, but I feel like they all navigated it very well because again, it was so much positivity, so much openness. Everybody was there. It was almost like like an opportunity fair, right?
Yeah, it's
Everybody was there willing to share and teach and help and like connect, and it just kept growing to the point where that next morning I woke up and that group chat had hundreds, probably over 1,000 messages in it from the night before to the next morning.
the ripple effect that
Yeah,
caused is probably still in existence to
1,000%.
today,
One thousand
of what that catalyst moment that you mentioned did for everybody. And there were
absolutely.
certain words that were just sticking in my head, purposeful,
Yeah,
of why it expanded like that. Everybody was tied to the root
yeah,
of the reasoning of why this is happening. And then once you start connecting with people, you feel this accountability not to let people down too, of like, okay, this isn't a bitch fest. It's like a, how can we level up? And when
exactly,
people want to level up, that accountability factor just like kind of seeps in you, and you
exactly.
it's kind of like a gym buddy to
Mhm.
a degree. It's just like, I can't miss the gym
Yeah,
because I'll be letting so and so down.
yeah,
Uh,
because they're expecting me to be there, and
yeah,
I may be the one that's motivating them. So even though
right.
they're motivating me, it may be mutual. So now I need to be there also. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. They're and you've talked about this challenge of being a real one while also getting the deal done.
Mhm.
And I really love that line. Like, because I'm still in corporate America,
Mhm.
startup world, and I've had this conversation with people that I work with, but also my personal connections as well, of I don't know how to separate the two.
Mhm.
Like, I am who I am. I wear my emotions on my sleeves. That's my leadership style of how I approach things. You get what you see. How I talk, how I interact with others, and granted, we're all works in progress, and we're constantly trying to learn. I'm curious if there has been a moment where you've really had to stand firm on who you are as a person and your roots and what you value, and maybe risk losing a deal, and
Yeah,
what leadership lesson came out of that.
absolutely. I've lost a few. Or I won't say lost because I feel like anything that's really for me is going to come to me. So
Mhm.
I'll say that I
Learn.
passed on a
Mm.
few. I'll put it that way.
Like it.
There were a couple of situations where I was adamant about what I was willing to do, how far I was willing to go, and how far I wasn't, right?
Mm.
You've been once, that's fine. You've been 9 times, you snap your spine, right? So it's kind of like you got to make sure that you have a hard line as to where you won't cross, especially when it comes to money. When you start doing deals that involve lots of money, people become more malleable than they thought they were initially,
Mm.
right? And walking away from it is not always easy. I
Yeah.
walked away from a $500,000 deal with, I won't name the company, but I'll say that I walked away from over a $500,000 deal with a company that was essentially trying to hire me to sell like cigarettes to children.
Mm.
And this was early, prior to now, like vaping is all over the place. This is before vaping became a thing, right? They were showing me concepts of flavored vapes and this new wave that was going to take over, and all the flavors were going to be so attractive. I mean, they basically like laid it out like we're not really selling the kids, but it's going to be so attractive to children that they won't be able to turn it
Turn it
down
down. Yeah.
once they're of age. And I remember the line almost verbatim. It was something to the effect of, and we may catch a few of them early, but they just kept talking as if they didn't say it. And I was sitting there like, no,
Yeah. You just showed your cards, and
yeah, like,
you're
no,
you're
I
you're
can't do this. Like, this is, I would love to take your money, but I
Yeah. Where were
can't.
you at when this deal was happening? Was this at Forbes?
No, 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 no. This was before Forbes. This
Oh,
was
before Forbes.
way. I'm gonna say this was 2016, maybe like
Okay.
2016. So like, yeah, pre vape era. Because by the time I was at Forbes, that was 2020. Well, when I first started working with Forbes was 2014. That
Okay.
was in Philly, but I was
Got
a
it.
contractor then. When I was actually employed by Forbes was like 2020 to 2023. That was
Mm.
time. Like I was contracted with them 2014, 2015, and then 2018, 2019, and then 2020 to 23 I was staff.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Um. And then so
That's where like one of the sorry, that's what I just want to
no,
drag.
you're
That's where
good.
one of the misconceptions about like Forbes the Culture comes in is people think that Forbes created Forbes the Culture and then gave it to me or something or put me
To
as like,
run.
I
Yeah.
created it first and ran it for 2 years, and then we decided to partner 2 years later. But during that time, I wasn't under contract with them. I wasn't employed by them or anything.
You know what's cool though is that you created that, and then it came into fruition with the actual
Yeah, which
brand
is
and
which is
everything.
rare. That doesn't really happen often. So
Yeah, it doesn't,
most
and
people
that's
can
what
tell
as you were saying it, I was like, yeah, that doesn't, and bringing that under the banner must have felt like stepping into kind of a lion's den to a degree. Like it's been there for a while. Were there moments when you had to push back just to protect the mission? Like the culture stands for this,
yeah,
and we want to stick to this. And it's
absolutely.
kind of sort of the last question, but it's within. How did you manage to grow the platform without really diluting the purpose?
Yeah. Well, that's essentially like why I was there, right?
Mm,
Um, Initially, we partnered in I'm gonna say 2019, right?
okay.
And throughout 2019, we both sides admitted this is not going well, right?
Mm,
We were still carrying the majority of the load. There was some light lifting on their part, but our partnership, in my eyes, was supposed to be a partnership,
mm,
and it seemed to be relatively unsuccessful from my perspective and from theirs as well. Knowing both of us keeping in mind and knowing that we could do much better than this.
yeah.
This could be much bigger than this. We're both kind of like one foot in, one foot out, right? So we decided to dissolve that. However, the conversation became, what would it look like if you were here and able to manage it from within? Like we partner officially, bring it under the umbrella, and then you are here to do just that. It wasn't, this is again, I'm paraphrasing, but to protect the brand and to help grow it and to help to expand it further than it can as two separate entities. So
Mm.
bringing it in as a separate entity, but under the umbrella, so now it's treated like um, it's a part of like the ecosystem, right?
So they gave you not gave you, but access to
Well,
more resources on both
yeah,
sides.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess I would say gave, but like we created, but what I was getting to is that what they were describing didn't exist. So we
Ah.
had to create something new.
Yeah.
So I was in my tenure as like a director of culture and community as SVP, like those positions didn't exist before. We had to create them
Mm.
and customize them to what this is that I'm doing because in addition to what I was describing, I didn't necessarily stop everything else that I was doing. This was Forbes the Culture was one business, was one thing, and it wasn't really even a full on business yet. Throughout I guess when it first started, it became that over the next 2 years. But
Mm.
I didn't plan to start that. I kind of skipped over that part. But like my plan was not to, and I think I alluded to it, but my plan was not to start this organization
Mm.
to revolutionize the world. I'm not, that's not really
Funny
who
how that works, though.
Right. My goal was one meeting, one time, everybody going about your business, and it really was just to hold people's feet to the fire. Oh, you got a complaint? Let's come up with a solution, and then you go and like enact that solution wherever you reside and whichever, because it was people from all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
My goal in partnering officially with Forbes and bringing this internally with them was to grow it and to show people that just like you said, or you referenced them. The line that I said is like you can still maintain being a real one and get the deal done. You don't have to abandon all your sensibilities and cower to be able to take things to the next level. You can do both, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes
Love
those
that.
things are going to run its course as they did, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do that. What
Yeah.
often happens is people lose themselves deeply into a situation. They start to, believe their own hype and they start to, get like caught up in um
The ego.
and yeah, all of just not necessarily, but just all of the things, and they lose sight of the mission. And it's always
Mm.
like, remember why you started. Remember why you did this. Remember what the purpose of this is. And sometimes I had to remind myself that
Mm.
because when there's other opportunities that are so attractive, it was like, oh, this would be great for me, but this wouldn't necessarily be great for us. So there's a lot of things that I left similar to what I described with X company, but like others, there were other opportunities that I'm like, this just doesn't fit. Like this would be, again, nobody would know but me, but
Yeah.
I would know, and that matters. So,
I'm
you know,
curious too. Like it was before we hopped on, just talking about how same group of friends since you've been growing up at a young age, kind of have stayed rooted with that. I similarly have the same group of friends since I was a very young kid, and we keep each other in check
yeah,
to a degree
absolutely.
of like what our values are, what we stand for. And granted, those conversations aren't always fun, but
No, not at all. Yeah,
even when they're not there, you feel like that voice or that
yeah,
inner that conscious is
absolutely.
part of what they're saying to you. And curious if that has played parts in those
1,000%.
decisions. Yeah.
It is great to have people around who really know you, even at the times when you don't really know yourself as well as you would like to or as well as you want to, right? When
Big
you
time.
lost some parts of you, they help you find it, right?
Yeah.
And it's always even better to have people that are completely unimpressed by
Mm.
you. Like no matter what you did, no matter what you've done, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I told my friends that I got a lifetime achievement award from the president, and they like,
You want a cookie?
so like it was like and like I'm about to go to work and get a paycheck. Whoop de doo. Like I don't,
Right.
we just people. So that's also a good thing too. Again, they're, are very supportive and like
Yeah,
look
totally.
well, like, but it comes, you know how men talk. We talk through jokes, right? So the
Yeah.
jokes come first, then maybe you'll get a congratulations later on. But
I always say the
but
second
they gotta humble you first.
yeah, the second your friends or your close crew is not messing with you, something's up. I've always said that, like when you're not
Absolutely,
having that joking, that humble, like keeping you humble, things like that.
absolutely,
That's when there could be a bigger issue at hand. But
yeah,
leaving that senior exec role at Forbes isn't something most people walk away from easily, because some people work their entire lives to get
yeah,
to that point,
yeah,
and that's their end goal.
yeah.
What gave you the confidence just to make that leap and turn the Black Excellence Society into its own force? And now what you're on the outside of that big machine, what becomes possible that wasn't before?
A lot of things. So I think so. To the first part of your question, it wasn't really about me, and I
Mm,
didn't feel like I had a choice. Really, it felt like it was absolutely what had to happen in order for. I look at things like like a storyline, right? It's like the next part of this storyline does not involve this person, right?
mm,
I am in a process of transitioning, and I guess like growing is more so the word. It's not really a transition, it's more so growing, right? And as I'm growing, I may have outgrown this.
mm.
I may have put myself in a position where um I'm gonna tell a side story and then come back to that exact
Please.
moment. Um, when I worked at another corporation, this was earlier on in my career. One of my first like real jobs out of high school was went throughout when I was at an art institute. It was in a corporation, and I got promoted really quickly. I worked my way up from what the equivalent of like the mailroom was through all these different levels, and became a director in a quality assurance and quality control. And I remember this is really interesting that this is coming back to me now. My supervisor had brain surgery, right?
Wow.
And went out, and it didn't, I guess, go great. She was going to be out for a while,
Mm,
and I was her number two, so I just knew I'm about to get this interim, position. And if she doesn't come back, that's my job. Like I never thought I was going to leave that company. That was
yeah.
I thought this is like just like you said, people work for this. I spent 8 years there, or like like almost 8 years. And I'm like this is it. Like this is what I've always wanted. I'm making my mom proud. I make like this is it. And when I was looked over for that promotion,
Mm,
and not just looked over, there was a person that essentially jumped like 6 levels over me, and it I felt like, one, I was the youngest person in my department. I
mm,
was one of the only black people at on the executive floor, and my supervisor was a white woman. The person that they promoted was a white man, and when it happened, nobody seemed shocked. And that's what told me everything I needed to know. Right. If everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, then I would think, okay, this something. Maybe he's somebody's son, or nepotism is a thing. I operate on qualitative nepotism. Like I'll
yeah.
hire my nephew if he's qualified,
Totally.
but I won't, like, I'm not for quantitative nepotism. I'm not trying to just trying to hire as many people as possible
Yeah.
that
Totally.
because they're my friends and family, right? So I thought like, okay, maybe this person, but then when that showed me, okay, this is part for the course,
Mm,
because then I thought about it. Maybe I wasn't next in line, but there were several other people who should have been up before this person, right?
sure.
So it just kind of made me think, okay, this is telling me what I need to know.
Right.
Um,
How
and I
old were you at that point?
how old was I?
Yeah.
I was 20. I might have been 20.
Man,
maybe
so you got smacked in the face at a young
yeah,
age, like
yeah, maybe
yeah,
I'm gonna say yeah, like 20, about 20ish. Um, the biggest thing was it kind of like brought this like this revelation, and
mm,
we've all heard of the glass ceiling, right?
yeah,
And which is usually equated to women when women of all races, but when women are in corporate America, they get promoted to a certain level, and they say it's the glass ceiling because they
mhm,
can see what's above it, but they just can't achieve it. Right? It's like
yeah,
you can see through it, but you just can't break the glass.
mm,
What I encountered was something very different, which is what I call the black ceiling,
mm,
where I feel like I have reached a certain level that I was never going to get promoted past that level. And not only was I never going to get promoted past that level, I couldn't even see what was up there.
yeah.
Like I had no idea what it looked like to be above this level because I had never made it that
There's
far.
no access. Yeah.
Yeah. And the difference between that going fast forward almost 20 years later, right? The difference between that situation and where I ended up at this point is that I could see it, but what I saw I didn't like.
Mm,
so it was and for the person who was I didn't really do it for me. It was
mm.
for that 19, 18, 20, 21 year old kid who was like me at that particular place and had those same types of
You know
aspirations.
that feeling. Yeah.
I know, and knowing that feeling and to see, I needed them to see somebody like me to be there and then move on and be just as successful, if not more, as
Mm,
they were there. Like to not equate that to the only path to success, because
yeah.
that is what a lot of people do. They make it seem like the only way that you will ever be X is if you work for Y or if you work at Y, and that's not the case. There are ways that you can do it on your own. I'm not knocking anybody who does it that way. I
Sure.
may potentially be going doing something similar again, but to be able to see somebody like myself or like a Boz or like just different people that have jumped or been between different corporations that didn't let the position define them. I think that is the main thing, and that you're never married. This is like it's like the movie Heat. Like you got to
Yeah.
be able to leave at any given time and leave it all behind and be completely fine with it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think what kind of drove me to be able to do that, or what drives me, I guess, to be able to take the cachet that was created there and to then, even if it's just 1%, right, of
Mm,
that, and to take it and grow the other 99% on my own, that means more than like your happiness and your fulfillment, and that you start to redefine what success is. It's like when
totally.
people talk about, and I'm not like rich. I don't want people to get the wrong idea about it. But when people talk about money, right, and they talk about after you've reached a certain amount of money, I think Will Smith said this recently. After
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
reach a certain amount of money, you can buy everything that you want and all that stuff, right? Then now you have to look for happiness in other places because
Mm,
it's not just in buying this and buying that, right? And I wasn't at that level. I'm not at Will Smith level. I'm far
yeah.
from that. We both from West Philly. I'm really from West Philly, but it's like it's a different, different, different scenario. But I say all that to say, like, people think that once you reached a certain level of success, that everything is at your disposal, and it's
Mm,
like only are going to find more things to want or
yeah.
to strive for or
It's
to
a
want.
constant evolution.
So then you realize I have to look within, right?
Mm,
And in looking within, you also still are looking around, or you're looking behind you. Like, who's coming behind me,
mm,
right? Who are the people who's the next generation who are climbing up this ladder? Who can I pull up?
mm,
Who can I help? And how can I do that if my hands are tied? I need to
totally.
free myself so that I can then free others. So that's how I looked at it.
it's such an amazing form of giving back,
Absolutely.
of learning from what you went through, of like how can we break down barriers, how can we open more doors, because I was just listening to Jeremy Renner, who was being interviewed, and he does a lot of nonprofit work, and he was just saying like you have to give back to the youth because they're going to be running like they're going to be running everything in the future, and like you
Yeah,
want the next whatever name you, the next Will Smith or whoever name you want to drop, and that doesn't come without us learning from what we've gone through and how we can open those doors. And I have such admiration for that because I've even done it in my own form of sales development, of the type of work that I do, of being in that role and working my tail off and never getting promoted just
yeah,
because of the structure of the business. And for me, I'm like, if I ever get the opportunity to be in the leadership, my number one thing isn't going to be numbers. It's going to be how many people can we get promoted to the next level and
yeah,
change their life to where they can buy the house that they wanted or the car or get married and have kids and be a part of that shift or that growth, and not just look at the end result but also the journey that gets you there. And a lot of people forget
yeah,
about the journey. The journey is where that
yeah,
fulfillment comes from that you talked about with Will Smith. He was, I think he said at one point he didn't drink for over a decade or
yeah.
go to any parties. It was just completely
And you
dedicated to the
got locked
craft.
in, man. Tunnel vision.
Yeah, completely locked in. So it's like taking those learnings and then reapplying them for younger. I hate to say youth because I still feel like I'm like 16,
I
even though
mean,
I'm.
yeah, yeah.
I got a little baby face, but I mean,
But I get
yeah,
what you're saying though. I get, yeah,
yeah. So there's a lot to it, and I want to touch on a couple things. You said the best leaders lead from behind, and I think this ties into it. Of how are you putting that into practice now to prepare for the next generation of leaders? What's the one thing that you hope people will say about the legacy that you left behind?
well, I'll take a step back in the story too, and just I guess provide a little bit of like additional clarity there because this way
Yeah.
I answer your question. I didn't necessarily just leave, to do that, right? I
Mm.
started doing it before. Some of the
Oh,
people that have worked for me as interns or um, I've left, I'll call it a trail of success because a lot of the people that have worked for me in the past have gone on to do great things on their own, right? They've gone on to either start their own businesses or they've gone to work for other companies or they've been able to get jobs with skills that they learned while working with us, right? But even at Forbes, I hired or championed or um, I'll say or redirected or changed departments of so many of the employees in the company, especially the black and brown employees. I
mm,
would see somebody, you know, in a corner in like the sports division and be like, this guy has something. We should, figure out a way to utilize him, right? Or to put him in a position in like a different position. You may see somebody that's like admin staff and say, listen, this person has something, right? Like I believe in this person. I'm
mm.
willing to put, my name on the line that they can do something better than where you have them right now. When I created something called the Journeys to Wealth, which we'll be doing again soon. Is going on to Africa next, but we did it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to trace Black Wall Street and trace the roots and like the history of our people and like what that Black Wall Street was. And I'm like, how can I do this
Mm.
if there's a bunch of people around here that either have never seen it, have never experienced it, don't know what it is. They need to learn this too.
Yeah, you got to plant the
So
seed.
I started to go to different managers and request, hey, can I take this person on the trip with us? Hey, can I take this person? Hey, can I take this person? Like, they didn't even, some of them didn't even know me like that. But I was watching them because I know their work and I was able to look from a different perspective. Like sometimes when you're looking down is much different than when you're looking up. And I was surveying the field, and I could see those people who deserved of that promotion who were just being overlooked. And I said, maybe if I can get them a little bit more visibility, maybe they're managers, because some of the managers that I went to and asked, they're like, why do you want to take him? Why do you want to
Right, because they're caught in the day to day
yeah,
sometimes. They don't even recognize.
yeah, yeah, because they're so focused on trying to, you said, meet quota and all that stuff. That was like they don't even think like, no, this person has potential, right? Let me
Yeah.
take them on this and then show you what they can become. And after there was a lot of pushback in some areas, but like some, they were like, sure, of course. Those sorts of things. Even people that I hired, like our entire editorial team was all black. The
Yeah.
first department to have an entirely black uh, editorial team ever. Like
Wow.
really, right? Um, we and like basically everybody that worked with me or for me in some capacity were people that I either interviewed them myself, I recommended them, I brought them in as as like interns or as writers, and some of them, a lot of them are still there. A lot of them left and went on to do even greater and better things at like other places, and that's what I'm saying. That is the type of legacy that I want to leave. I don't ask them for anything; they don't owe me anything. I don't say this. That's why I'm not saying their names, because I don't want, like, I'm not trying to diminish anybody's hard work. They
Yeah.
earned whatever they got. But if it wasn't for somebody, and like hopefully they'll pass this on and do this for somebody else,
Everybody
right?
needs it.
If it
Yeah.
wasn't for somebody championing them and saying, "Hey, this person deserves a shot," they probably wouldn't have got it, right? No matter how deserving or hardworking they were and are, right? And that is what I want to leave behind. Is that, I mean, besides all of the things that I leave behind, but like in terms of reputation, is that this person helped other people to be better. He helped to put people in better positions than they were able to put themselves in, or he helped them to be better than they even thought they could be themselves. Like those, that is what's important to me.
Yeah.
Um, and seeing the like results of that. So not just what they say about me, because people can say anything, but it's what my actions have yielded. When we look at, and this is coming up, but when we look at, when we get to 2027 and we get to the 10th year of Forbes the Culture, from what started from that night and what it has yielded, all of the children it has now, all of the different organizations, different companies who saw what we did and decided to duplicate it, those who credit us, those who don't, those who created offshoot organizations, people who got inspired by what we did and decided to start that company, start that partnership, start that event series, start that community. Like these are things. If you look at the landscape from 2017 until now, it is drastically different, and a lot of that has to do with the example that we set, whether they say it or not. That part doesn't matter. Those, like, when you look at the timeline, it will show itself. It's kind of like if you look at history, right? You look at um there was no peanut butter before there was peanuts. So so that's how I look at it.
Very true.
Before, there was no well, no, I can't say that. But there but some things came first. That's all. The chicken came
Yeah.
before the egg, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
It's a really good point. And before we wrap up here, I have something that I wanted to ask you too. With me doing a book, I feel like I'm gravitated now to people that are doing books, and
Yeah,
I've heard that you've had one in the works right now. And without spoiling too much and giving stuff away, what's the core idea or message that you're hoping readers walk away with? And
sure.
just for fun, what's the next nice thing you're working on that has you excited for the future?
Oh, absolutely. I like what you did there. I see that. I like Um, so the book, and this is funny because how I'm holding my hands. the basic concept of the book is that these two are lethal weapons, right?
Mm.
The way
Oh,
yeah, these are lethal weapons. When we pick up our phones and we start doing this, you
whoa.
know, you can ruin somebody's life. You can get somebody killed. You can get somebody fired. You can get somebody harmed. You can ruin their career. You can, like, there's plenty of things that you don't realize with like the irresponsibility of your thumbs. That's why the book is titled Guilty in the Court of Public Opinion, because you can be guilty on the internet and be innocent in real life, but
Wow.
the the headline is always much bigger than of the retraction. So there's been plenty of times, and we examine, it's a book series, but we examine multiple cases where people have been actually innocent or found in or like found as innocent later on, but they were unfortunately held to the standard of being the guilty party by the public, because the first thing that somebody did is write a headline that said murderer, rapist, thief, criminal,
It's a
whatever the case
scarlet
may be.
scarlet letter.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like when you are an athlete, when you're in an entertainer, when you're just sometimes just a regular Joe, right? You can have somebody who you mistakenly, like, there's a clip that's going around now. I don't know when this will come out, but there's a clip that's going viral now of a guy who, like, he did something, but there's an angle that they show, right? And the angle that they show, he like committed an act of violence, but the angle that they show, it made it seem like he did it for no reason, right?
Wow.
It just happened, and they're condemning him, and they're doxing him. They're like putting all this information out there for those that don't have teenagers. I learned that from them. But they're like doxing them, and they're doing all this stuff. And come to find out, when they show the full video, he was being severely beaten first, and he was just retaliating. And just that his retaliation
Yeah.
is what they showed.
They don't give the full context.
There's no apology. This guy, he's not gonna get his job back. Like, you see what I'm saying? None of this stuff is gonna happen, because all that mattered was whoever was the first one to use these is who ruined this guy's life.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of stories that are like that. People are, still calling Snoop Dogg, a murderer, and he beat his case in 1992 or something like that. It was so long ago that, like, there's no reason to even equate that to his brand. That
People latch on. Yeah, people latch on to
people
something that
latch on
is.
to it because
Yeah.
that's what they. I mean, there's still people who think OJ is guilty. God rest his
Yeah.
soul at this point, but like, he was found not guilty.
Right.
Who are you to say he was or wasn't? At this point, people have their own reasons why they gravitate
Tiger
toward.
Woods. I
Yeah,
mean,
Tiger
hey,
Woods.
I didn't see. No, I'm joking. I was.
I'm like, Tiger Woods,
You're like,
great
uh,
golfer, great nice tequila transfusion, drinking it. Tiger, drink nice tequila transfusion. I have nothing to say about Tiger Woods. Great.
we,
Two thumbs
that
up.
that one was a stretch.
Two lethal weapons. but
Yeah.
but yeah, I get what you're saying though, and that's a part of it. Is like, people now, we also live in this like meme culture, right? So
Ugh,
now people
yeah.
will turn anything into
News
a joke.
or
um
anything.
and
Yeah.
they don't care, like, if the person, you know they don't even feel bad about it. It's like the craziest thing, because they don't
I always say the
they
internet
don't
is
care. Some
ruthless and
people
it has
have that
yeah.
thing. They don't have that conscience, so it's
Yeah.
just not. It's not in them to care. Um, the other thing that you asked, I mean, honestly, nice things of tequila transfusion is the thing that I'm really most excited about. The reception has been incredible.
Big
Everybody
tequila guy too. So
everybody loves it. Okay, we gotta make sure you get some. Um,
absolutely.
everybody loves it. Everybody it's like the only thing they have to do is taste it. We don't have to. I love that we don't have to, like, sell it. Really, it
Mm,
sells itself, right? Like,
it's the
once you
best.
taste it, then you want it.
Yeah.
you may look at it and be not sure what it is. Some people think it's a seltzer. It's not. Some people think that we're competing with Sundown or with whatever those people are called. Doesn't matter. Drink nice things to kill a transfusion. That's what I'm most excited about, is that we have something that's really moving the needle,
Yeah.
and really moving the market. And I think that's the key.
Love it, man. Last question.
Sure.
Where can people follow you? Follow your journey,
Um,
everything going on right now.
Everything is my name. I
Mm,
keep it very simple.
love
Rashad Lambert, RashadLambert. Just type it in Google or type it in Instagram. I think I still have a Facebook, Twitter,
I think
or
everybody says that
whatever
about
it's called
Facebook. I
now.
think I still have a Facebook.
Blue Sky, whatever. Where wherever you're looking for me, I'm there. Um, just use my name. It was just simple, you know.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of nicknames. If you know me, then you know how to find those, but it's all the same.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
there. I will go to Black Excellence Society.info, nicethingsbeverages.com. Yeah, that's the best places.
Love it, man. Really enjoyed our conversation. I think we just
Absolutely.
scratched the surface
Absolutely.
too. I think we definitely need a part two and
Absolutely.
dive much more into other topics. I
Sure.
think the biggest thing out of this whole thing that I took, you're such a light, and really just the authenticity really just pushes so much that you do and allows it to flourish. So
I really
keep
appreciate
doing what
it.
you're doing, man. I'm a massive fan and will continue to be, and definitely looking forward for us connecting more down the road.
Thanks. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go Birds.
Um, Go Birds. We had to end on that note. Actually, last question. Are we repeating?
Go Birds. I think so. I feel like
I do too.
I couldn't give you a different answer because I really
Yeah.
believe it in my heart.
I don't think you'd be authentic if you gave a different answer. Everybody, thank you for listening to another episode of 1% Better, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everyone.